Rolling.
Get over here!
Alright. Here is Sacramento, where we just came back from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Yay!
Yay! We've been to Mexico several times together. The first one was, of course, the honeymoon in 2016, and then Cabo San Lucas in 2017 of January. And for this trip, it was to Ensenada during one of the stops on our cruise, December 2019 to January 2020. We celebrated New Year's on the cruise. So we went to Ensenada, and then this time around, we went to Puerto Vallarta. My first time. He's been there several times before, so I've heard great things about it. Almost everybody that I have known say, oh, it's great there, you're gonna love it, blase blase. So we're gonna tell you about our experience on this trip. We did come up, or I came up with a list of things to do and eat, where to eat, based on some research that I did on YouTube and what people recommended doing.
So we trust the internet.
Of course. And we also got some ideas from local folks.
We asked around.
Yeah. And our friends that live there. So we weren't going there blindly, or so we thought. We bought this trip on at an auction for charity during an event in June 2020. It was a virtual gala, and we thought that we had to use it up by December 2021. 18 months from after we purchased it. But that wasn't the case. After I activated the trip code, we've had 18 months when I activated the trip code, not when we first bought it. That's why we felt we had to use up this trip. So get on it.
Put a little pressure on us.
Right. And initially we wanted to take the trip in April for our birthdays, but we have had the COVID vaccine issues. He had just gotten his, and the flights to Puerto Vallarta around that time were super expensive because that's right around, I think, the high season.
And they were only offering a few flights a day.
Right, that one, and also the high season was just about ending. So then we took it in the hot, rainy time of August. So this was our first plane trip during the pandemic. We were both vaccinated, but the thing that worried me more wasn't really COVID. It was about all these unruly passengers on these flights that are getting into fights with each other or with the flight crew, which is really unnerving. And I think for me that was more stressful and anxiety causing versus COVID. I mean, because I mask all the time anyway, and I think for the most part everybody did mask up during the flight and when they're inside the plane and at the airports, so that was fine.
But one of the things that the airlines did is they did not allow or did not sell any alcohol.
Yeah, and I think that's alcohol, obviously, especially in these last cases, was the cause of these outrageous outbursts. Luckily for us, I think the other people on our plane trips, were also kind of aware of those kinds of situations.
The good thing is the plane was pretty empty.
Yeah, both going in and coming back, it wasn't full like what we've experienced before, and probably that's because of the new
rules,
strains.
The new strains.
Yeah, people are on edge in general.
And when I asked the flight crew about that, they said most flights are operating in that lower capacity volume. They're just not seeing the volume yet. And it's partly because of all the things that are going on.
We stayed in Nuevo Vallarta, which is north of Puerto Vallarta, right on the border of Nayarit and Jalisco. Jalisco and Nayarit are two different states. And Puerto Vallarta is in Jalisco and Nuevo Vallarta is in Nayarit. The airport is right in between them, so we were very close to the airport, like basically right next to the airport. The only thing separating us was the Amica River. We did not know it was a timeshare. I personally would not have purchased this trip from the event if I had known that it was a timeshare. So I think that's one of the things that we're gonna be really cognizant about when we consider these kinds of purchases. So when we arrived at this place, which by the way, when you first enter it is like Jurassic Park or Westworld, it's that you drive in, it's a 2-lane, narrow, windy, curvy road all over the place.
For lots of foliage.
Yeah, lots of foliage. So beyond the street, you couldn't really see what was on the other side of this thick foliage. And then you get to a centralized valet, Uber drop-off, taxi drop-off, and then from that point they take you on a shuttle to your respective hotel. So there are, I think, 5 or 6 different kinds of properties. The whole thing is called Vedanta World, and it's going to be developed into a theme park. So they're going to incorporate all these hotels and a theme park by 2023. It's a Cirque du Soleil type of theme park that they're working on right now. So it's a amazing property, very well manicured, super clean. The staff is friendly, helpful. They're there at your beck and call. They take great care in protecting their image, and you know, it shows how much they really put into this. Our first night after we checked in, we had dinner with our friend Steve, who retired from the Hyatt here in Sacramento and moved down to Puerto Vallarta in June 2020 during the pandemic. We met him at near the Malecon. We walked around the Malecon a little bit, where he, you know, we just catching up.
Welcome!
Finally
My
made
friends from Sacramento, welcome to Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta, Old Town.
During this
Old
beautiful
Town.
sunset.
Puesta del Sol.
And it's going away.
And the sky will actually get pinker and pinker.
Walked along the Malecon, and we went out to a new place that they've added a couple of years, 5 years ago, which is the sail.
It's on a pier.
Sail pier.
Yeah.
Sail pier.
Yeah, sail pier.
Sail pier. And it's shaped like a sail. Great place to kind of catch a view of the Zona Romantica and the beach area down at that end, the Old Town. One of the benefits of meeting up with Steve, who's lived there for a year, was to kind of get some of the insider views, but from a gringo's perspective as an outsider.
And yeah, he caught us up with the landslide issue that was happening there, so.
And a bunch of other things, and just
Yeah.
his experiences living there, which I was kind of curious about how his Spanish was coming along, his fluency. The nice thing about Puerto Vallarta is it's a very international city, lots of American, Canadian travelers. I think their English is pretty strong for most folks in that region. True, Spanish is their language, and so I think as a tourist and a traveler, you should try as much as possible speak the local language, which I always kind of get a bit. I actually enjoyed using more of my Spanish and trying to work through my Spanish.
He was great.
Which was really kind of a treat, and kind of missed that. So now coming back from that trip, I'm thinking more about how to use my Spanish. But the interesting little twist, and I'm going to show this. I know you're killing me. You're going to to kill me. But I mean, the interesting little twist is when we have our masks on, we're walking around. They don't come to the gringo thinking the gringo doesn't speak Spanish. They come to the dark skin, who they think is a Mexican or speaks Spanish, and then they rattle off Spanish to him, and then he looks at me, kind of like, I don't know what they're saying, what, and then I answer them or respond or ask the next question in Spanish, and then their look is a little bit odd, his look is a little odd. It's kind of an interesting exchange when they have the expectation that the brown skin's going to answer.
Yeah, I did feel a little bit of guilt about that because, I don't know, I felt like I let people down by not being able to speak Spanish back to them, which is, you know, unfortunate. I've wanted to learn Spanish for a while now, I just never got around to it, and our trips to Mexico are happening faster than me signing up for some Spanish class.
I don't recall any Spanish class recently.
Yeah.
But it makes me miss Spanish, right? So I was kind of like, I wish I could. And the words would come back as I'd see things and hear it and read it, and someone else would say it.
It was what was interesting for me was every time I would try to speak Spanish, the Tagalog words came out, like, because Tagalog's not my first language. Also, it's my second language after Cebuano. So it was just interesting that I would think of the Tagalog words to try to talk to the Spanish-speaking folks. So it's rainy season in Puerto Vallarta at this time, and a lot of the beaches, the bay, where the beaches are brown because there's several rivers that flow into the bay from the mountains, and then when it's rainy season, they all of the debris and the mud from the mountains get washed out into the ocean, or sorry, the inlet or the bay. And so when you're on the beach, the water is brown, it's not blue, but you know, it's harmless, hopefully, because we were in the beach, we were in the water, the ocean water, the bay water a few times. This was Saturday, and then afterwards we hung out in the pool of our hotel. There are several pools that you can go to in this resort, and the nice thing was it wasn't super crowded, you know, and I got to sit the first time ever on one of those swim up pool bars, yeah, which was okay.
Kind of a cool experience. Cool. Yeah. The water was nice, it was clean, not brown.
Yeah. We got some drinks and a quesadilla.
A little snacky.
Yeah.